Assalamu alaikum and welcome. My name is AMIR Golbarg, and today I wanted to present to you my Horizon End of Journey review, which has been formulated in the form of a video portraying some of the amazing highlights that I've had over the last 1 year being part of this journey. Now obviously that made me think a lot over the journey itself, over the last 2 years that I've been with MHG, and precisely on 15th of July 2014 when Tracy sent me the official acceptance of the journey and what was lying ahead for my elevation with MHG. I think one of the key learnings that I wanted to highlight in this journey has been, having been part of other development programs, it's not particularly only about myself and my learning and self-reflection as an individual, but it's been a journey where it's as much about giving than taking, and that's something that means a lot to me, and I think for the company moving forward as we're growing and moving forward day by day. The leadership code was a great example of it. I think we as leaders in today's world are very strong, as it was portrayed as well with my 7. Alright, so for my first project that I would like to go into detail about is our customer service project, which we were given last year. And the customer service project is obviously something dear to us, being in operation and always being first hand with our guests, and always aiming higher and higher and higher to achieve a greater goal within the company, and ensuring that our guests, every single one of them, are leaving not only happy and satisfied, but are able to create amazing stories for them. And I think one of the elements that I saw, and it all started in Avani Sepang, where I was, and now obviously transpired over to Banana Islands or Doha by Anantara, where we were able to develop even further. Now in Avani Sepang, it all started initially with creating I would say an initial villa host experience. Now villa host in Avani as a brand is not something that is clear marked as a brand standard. So we didn't go to the full-fledged experience that I would explain to you with Banana Island. However, what we did, and this is a very interesting one, when you're running with an operating resort and you have a certain manning in place, you can't just come and acquire a big team and put in place for villa host or for an add-on department. So what we looked at in Avani Sepang, which is very interesting, we said, okay, this is what we have. We have a team of bellmen, a team of buggy drivers, we have a team of concierge, we have a team of recreation, a team of front office. Now you have this team of associates or team members. Sorry, Caroline, that's on mine. Well, with this set of team members, you either have the opportunity of splitting them up. A bellman is doing a bellman job, a buggy driver is a buggy driver job, etc., etc. Or you have the opportunity of doing what we did in Avani Sepang. Well, what the ideology was, we wanted to create personalized stories. We wanted to have our guests, every single one of them leaving, having some sort of memory with someone attached to our resort. Not only the facilities and services and the hardware, but software perspective. So we took the exact same manning that we had in place for our bellmen in particular and the buggy drivers, started with them, and transformed them into not only driving a buggy from A to B, but starting to actually interact with our guests, understanding the needs of our guests. So whilst they're driving the buggy, they're also engaging with the guests, start making itineraries for them, knowing when to pick them up, drop them off, booking their restaurants, and ensuring the recreation facilities and services, and starting to actually upsell for their stay. And that's sort of how this baby was born. Now by the time it was born and was starting to crawl, was more or less the time where I had my transition from Avani coming to Banana Island. And that's when we were then able to really flourish this whole project. Now in Avani we created a little book, had one gentleman, his name is Rahmat, who was our villa operation manager there. He was sort of my villa operations guru, and he created a book to start off and initiate this whole project on a larger scale. And when we then moved to Banana Island, we said, okay, with this project, similarly as in Avani Sepang, we had this element of villa host experience and combining them all into one had not yet been implemented. So that was again the project, and what I'll be showing from here on is the implementation and how it's working, and then afterwards I will give you some of the results that it's given us till date, which is actually quite shocking. And I'm sure for anyone sitting in corporate, having heard the word Banana Island Resort by Doha by Anatara, they've all sort of seen the nightmare stories from where we opened, amazing financial numbers, tremendous drop in guest satisfaction and guest scores, to where we're standing today, which I'll show you the difference. And I can very confidently place the majority aspect of that success to the implementation and timeline of the whole Villa Host experience which we put in place. And again, very interestingly, when I will explain to you the conclusion, not only will you see the elements of service which have elevated factual figures, but as well the cost factor. That a lot of people have in the mindset that implementing a Villa Host or a butler experience means a lot more money. But I will tell you, it's the exact opposite. It may cost you slightly more in payroll cost because of transition over. However, from a cross-selling perspective, upselling perspective, and creating amazing stories, believe me, you gain a lot more customer loyalty, and you gain a lot more overall ranking in all the areas which you will hear about afterwards. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed our little short video trying to portray how the whole Villa Host experience functions in Doha. However, just to note that we're in the month of Ramadan, so I couldn't really portray the whole arrival and special experience that we put with the music and dance, etc. And that will obviously not happen during this holy month of Ramadan. Now, since you've seen the video, and what I mentioned to you lastly was, I want to give you a little bit of numbers and facts just so you understand what the difference the Villa Host experience has brought to us, and hopefully will bring to your property. Now, we opened the property in Jan, and since Jan to April was a rough time. And April was absolutely the peak of roughness because we were financially driving. I mean, we were doing an amazing results. Nobody had expected the demand we have from a guest perspective. And for the ones who do not know, our property consists of 96 rooms and suites, and we have 45 villas, 2 and 3 bedrooms. And these 45 villas are absolutely piece de resistance. These are the top-notch 45 private pool villas with a full experience. Now what we decided to do is to start off with the 45 villas, which are the highest selling product on the islands, especially our 34 sea-view pool villas, to attach the Villa Host experience to them. Now, first to sell it to the management that we're going to be implementing a Villa Host experience, first thing is the dollars and cents. That's what it all comes down to. So just to make you understand, financially, just to add in the cost of our Villa Host team, excluding now the management, just the Villa Host frontline, would cost us around 72,500 per month. Now 72,500, that's our payroll cost per month. Now if you then take the current structure without the Villa Host, the amount of bellmen, so you say the 17 bellmen, if you add in concierge, if you add in our buggy drivers, just a few that would be transferred over, which we did in Sepang and similarly here, for this property would cost me 64,500 per month. Now if you take the 64,500 minus the 72,500, you have 8,000 difference per month. 8,000 difference. Now what do you gain from adding that 8,000 additional on your payroll cost and creating the Villa Host experience that we have done? Just to give you an example, we started the Villa Host experience in April 2015. Now we're in June 2015. Now in April, just to give you a number, our TA ranking, our TripAdvisor ranking in April was number 28. Number 28. We had come from an all-time low of 39, but we were 28. Now for today, 1st of July, with a closing that we had yesterday on the 30th of June, we're sitting on a TripAdvisor ranking of number 7. Need I say more? From 28 to number 7. Similarly, let's talk about GSS. Our GSS score, closure of April, was sitting on 77.18%. Closure, end of June, we're sitting on 85.13. Again, an incredible increase in experiences that we've created for our guests. Not to mention, on top of that, obviously, you're talking about the amount of amazing stories, which evidently shows itself. You talk about a lot of opportunities for our associates and our team members to develop themselves by learning so many different elements, having a villa host team that is taking care of concierge, housekeeping, IRD, in-room dining experience. They do the guest service center because they all combine into one, and they're basically running the A to Z of a whole guest journey in their hands. And obviously that drives incremental revenue through cross-sell, through upselling, and obviously driving a lot more sales across, not only internally but externally. So I think, needless to say, the villa host experience has proven itself till date, and I'm hoping next time we'll touch base. Hopefully we're going to be in top 5 or top 3 in TripAdvisor, and hopefully reaching and achieving our GSS target overall for the year. Thank you very much. Alright, for my next project, the revenue maximization. This one has gone back and forth quite a number of times because of my transition at that period of time between Avani Sepang and Doha. So that was slightly put on hold at that point of time. I had a few ideas running, but knowing that I can't execute it, I put it on hold, waiting for me to transition into my current property. The project that I'm running now, which is actually a new baby, it's a very interesting baby. It is related to boats and transportation. Now I'm sure if you would have Wayne and Finance see this video, they know the nightmare that we have financially with the cost implications of our fleet. We have 17 boats in our fleet, out of which 10 of them are big catamarans and monohulls. And then we have a series of small power boats as well. And cost-wise, it is a major cost implication to our P&L. To give an example, for the month of May, we spent 3.2 million on boats alone, between our utility vessels, guest vessels, and our rescue vessels as well. So obviously, as an overall measure, it is a big cost. And even though we do add an allocation to the guest, into the guest portfolio as well, both for dining and for in-house guests, it still isn't enough. So what we thought about, or the idea that popped up, is why not create an experience out of that and create a bit of additional revenue whilst driving sales into rooms and ensuring that our guest has an experience more than just a boat ride coming to from Doha. And that idea came up with our instructors from our marine company, with a course called the RYA Power Boat Captain Certification. Now this is actually a course that I'm taking myself at the moment, which certifies you to become an entry-level powerboat captain. So you can drive one of the smaller vessels up to 10 passengers, up to 12 passengers, sorry, and up to 10 meters long. And this is a very interesting course, and this is the video I'm going to showcase to you. This course you can do in 2 to 3 days, depending on how much time and effort you put into it. And we thought about, wouldn't it be interesting, being the first property, not only to have our guests come in the fleet of vessels, but actually have the opportunity to stay in our property and to take the course while staying with us. And that is what this video is all about. So please enjoy. Alright, so my last project is CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility, which is another very important component for myself and for mine, obviously, for our chairman and founder, Will Heineke. And it's something that I think we continuously have to evolve on as a company, about not only taking but giving back to society. And a lot of this one I worked on was in Malaysia. That was a great opportunity for us there. Not yet here in Doha with the establishment of this property. So part of the many initiatives we had with giving back to society in Malaysia, I've highlighted 2 very important projects that I worked on, which I believe are very noticeable and things that I will definitely take on with me in other projects and other properties that I endeavor towards. Now, the first project is in relation with a very reputed private university in Kuala Lumpur called HELP University. Now, with HELP, we worked on a joint venture, and this came up actually after I joined on the property, and many of the team members that I work with didn't come from I say fortunate backgrounds, having the opportunity of obtaining their degrees or their diplomas in hospitality and build up a sufficient foundation to elevate themselves to the top. And with that in mind, we worked with the Help University on a joint scholarship program, which is basically called the Earn and Learn program. It's a 4-year scholarship program to obtain a full diploma. You can go up to a bachelor degree or even further than that. And with that in mind, you will lock yourself down for 4 years, which will be beneficial for the property. You know you have a succession plan in place. And as well for Help University, they will be obtaining more potential students for their hospitality division as well. And I was very proud. The first batch we locked down for the Earn and Learn program, we had 2 full-time students, which were locked down on a 4-year basis. And after that, we worked on a certification diploma course where we had, in conjunction with Martech, where we had 16 participants obtaining their diplomas as well. And this is obviously something that is very dear to me because it's giving the opportunity to a lot of our fellow hoteliers to elevate themselves in their careers. The second one which we worked on, which is another very special one as well, is it was with basically a home called the Calvary Land, and this home was specialized in 3 different elements. It was specialized in orphanage, it was specialized in old fellow homes, and last but not least, it's specialized in autism. Now, autism is different degrees, but is a certain level of dysfunctionality of the brain. Which is either you're born with it or it develops over the years. Now with autism, you know, there are certain individuals that have autism, but because they haven't been given the opportunity to go out into society, they haven't been able to actually recover and to develop themselves. And that was the area which I tackled, because I believe giving back to society is not just going in and doing you know, hosting special days on the beach and hosting dinners and lunches and all the usual things, but it's about finding a way of bringing them into society and developing them, and most of them were young. So we went in, we interviewed, we chose 2 very bright young candidates. We brought them in initially for a 2-week period into our housekeeping department to see if there would be a possibility to bring them back into society, to find friends, to most importantly to find a purpose of life, waking up in the morning, as we all say, knowing what is my purpose. And I was extremely proud because with that 2-week it evolved into becoming a full-time job, where actually till the day I was in Malaysia, the 2 individuals were performing equally as well as any other housekeeper. They were room attendants. The attendance record was impeccable. And I can say I was extremely proud as an individual and as a hotel being able to bring back bright young individuals into society and develop them to become a normal human being, as is all they read. Thank you. All right, so reaching the conclusion, the final stages of my video and my projects. Obviously, I've gone through an extensive journey with Minor already for the last 3 years, and out of which for the last 1 year has been in the Horizon journey. What conclusions to give? I mean, you've seen the videos, you've seen the outputs, and hopefully many more to come. I think what I have gained tremendously through this journey, as I said, beyond reflecting on my own growth and my own development, but changing my paradigm to becoming much more focused on teach to learn, developing others, coaching others, and having the ability not only to develop myself, but to become a talent manager and develop other human capital. And that's something that I believe is giving me a lot. And I think towards moving to the next step, I think is going from being an operational leader, which we are and we always will be to a certain extent, understanding operation as a core, but as well understanding the financial sales and marketing, and especially the human capital, the HR factors, which is ultimately the industry we're in. I think one key word that really triggered in me, which I'm taking with me every single day and I'm reiterating to the team as well, is one of the key competencies that have come up to become a CH level, to become the GM of a business unit, which is the first time I've seen that in any company, and I salute it and I live by it. It's entrepreneurship. I think that's something that I had not expected, to be honest, because to a certain extent entrepreneurship relates, in my point of view, obviously to Bill Heineke, or to someone who is innovating and creating and owning or developing a business of its own. Now in our terms, it is to a certain extent giving us the freedom as hoteliers and as leaders of a business unit or leaders of a resort to go over and beyond what the limit has been set for us, to ensure we innovate and drive new ideas to elevate the business at all times. We're in an ever-evolving industry, and I think the reason why I chose MHG and the reason why I'm working with MHG is the industry is moving extremely fast, MHG equally as well, but many others are as well. And I think what made MHG different is we are respecting the differences. We're respecting that we don't want to create a brand that is monotone across, such as others do. We want to create a brand that is individualized in every destination, however had a set of standards to follow. I never forget what Robert told me. It sat with me. He said, brand standards are a set of minimum standards that we lay, which is an expectation of a luxury and indulgence of Alantara, for instance. However, it doesn't mean that is the standard. It's considered the minimum standard. So it's giving you freedom to elevate beyond if it need be. And that's the example I have here in Doha. We have the minimum, but we go to the maximum. The sky is the limit, and that's what the entrepreneur makes a decision if it's business sound to elevate beyond or not, based on what rate you drive, what revenues you drive, and obviously to look at how to maximize revenue, not through what is the standard, but through what is innovative and new. And that's where I think MHG struck my heart. That's what Robert's saying, and obviously entrepreneurship as a whole. What's my next step? Where do I want to be? Well, I think the first step, hopefully, from this journey is the goal for all of us, and definitely a goal from my side. I would love to become a general manager within MHG, and not to sound cocky in any form of way, but I see that as my short-term goal, hopefully, to do so. And as a long-term goal, well, who knows? Maybe it's Robert Kunkler, maybe it's Bill Heineke, but I can tell you I never stop elevating my ambitions, and hopefully I will reach the top with MHG in the future. Thank you.
Yeah.